Use this system wisely. This system has allowed me to put so much money aside that when opportunities arose, I was ready while other people were still thinking about it. 7 years ago, I started my first business and made my first $1 million within 18 months. I took that knowledge that allowed me to experience freedom and I share it with others so that way they can experience their success. Now I own and operate the fastest growing marketing agency in the nation. I write books, I speak on stages across the country, I'm surrounded by the top 1% of business owners, and it's because of one understanding. To win in life, you just need to be better than you were yesterday. Welcome to Progress Daily with Andy Audate. Welcome to the Big Money Show with Andy Audate, man. I'm so excited to have you here, and the reason why, because today we're talking about making that moolah, baby. We're talking about making that money. And today I'm going to be sharing with you a specific strategy that I personally used in my business, and I still use today, believe it or not. I still use this strategy today. And this specific strategy 7 years ago allowed me to push my business and push my mental. See, the thing about money, if we talk about money, man, real cash. First of all, it ain't even mine. That's the first thing. It's my main man, James, here, so here you go, James. But we have to have the prime understanding. Somebody gave it to me, okay, to my organization, and it got transferred. I was just a manager. So if you want to understand money, understand what it means to give value. You want to write that down, value. See, when I teach people how to do webinars and I teach people how to make money on stage, I talk about giving value first, then making an offer. Same thing in the economy, in the world. We need to understand that it starts off with giving value, receive the money from elsewhere, and distribute the money. So what that means is you're a manager. You're not an owner of the money. Like, I don't make money. If I go in my wallet and I pull out a little bit of cash, I didn't make this. It wasn't me that made this. It was someone else that made that. So I'm going to give you the steps, the process that I personally use in my bank account, a banking system that allows me to put money aside and change my mental. You see, if we understand how to psych our brain up, look, I think my brain is going to stay the same. I think my brain will always stay the same. But the way that I'm going to progress on a daily basis is using processes and different systems that I learned elsewhere and through experience, using different processes and different systems that will allow me to psych my brain up to do it whatever I want it to do. Does that make sense? So that means the mindset, and I don't know if there's any scientists or psychologists that can back me up on this, because what I'm sharing with you is complete theory. But maybe our brains stop learning or stop creating after 12 or after 15, and now we're still stuck in the brain that we have when we're 15 years old. Maybe the last one is probably 16. Let's be honest, it's probably 16. Our brain is the same from 16 years old. We aren't learning anything new, but we're creating systems to allow us to produce, okay? Allow us to do what we wanted to do. So let me share with you the same process that I personally use. At 18 years old, I used this system, unbeknownst to me, accidentally, but allowed me to have the seed capital to start my business. I was working at Metro PCS, and here's what I did. I fixed my checking accounts in a certain way that allowed me to make the most money every single month, okay? Keep that money, and then when it was time to invest, I had the money. You see, here's what people are always doing with their bank accounts. Typically, when you have a job, you have like this one checking account. One simple checking account, and all the money goes in there, and all the money comes out of there. One simple checking account. So if you go to Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, TD Bank, whatever your bank is, you go to this bank account, and it's the same bank account. That's what broke people do. Got one bank account. And I'm going to share with you the same process that I personally use that allowed me to exponentially grow my income because I was consistently psyching my brain up, thinking like I'm scared, I'm nervous. I'm out of security. I'm scared. I'm nervous. Got to go make some money. Here's what I did. I went and I opened up a bank account away from me, completely away from me, that it was hard to get to. So you're going to have one main checking account. your main checking account, the reason you have this checking account is for your daily expenses, your living expenses, whatever it takes, whatever you need to spend, your gas money, your bills, your rent, that comes out of this one checking account. So all the money comes from this one specific checking account. Money comes into this checking account. Automatically, you got to transfer that money to another account that is far and hard and to reach. So I'm originally from the East Coast. I'm from the smallest city in the country, okay? I'm from the smallest state in the country, and I was raised in one of the smallest cities in that state. And so specifically, I used Bank of America. This was like 16, 17. I used Bank of America. And the money came into my Bank of America account, but what I did do is I left Bank of America, kept my checking account there, went to another bank, and I went to an offshore, like one of those banks that most people don't even go to, right? Just like a credit union down the street from your house that one or two people work there. And I went to that bank account and I opened up an account over there. And when I went into that account and I opened up that account, I had money from my Bank of America account dripping to my other account that I did not have a debit card. So you want to write that down. Do not have a debit card to your, let's call this secondary account. We got the primary account, we got the secondary account. You don't want a bank account you don't want a debit card to your secondary account, okay? So you got your income coming into your primary, and your primary is automatically transferring money to your secondary. And once the money goes into your secondary, you can't even spend it because you don't have a debit card, okay? That's the number one rule. No debit card for your secondary, okay? The number two rule for your secondary is no mobile access to your secondary. You can't hop on my phones over there. You can't hop on to your online banking and see how much is in there. You can't do that. No mobile access to your secondary, okay? And the number three rule is that bank has to be far. Like you got to travel an hour to go to that account, to go to that bank. 2 hours, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever is far to you, right? I used to live in Los Angeles. I live in Las Vegas now. And when I lived in Los Angeles, I mean, an hour was close, okay? An hour was close. But I remember when I lived on the East Coast, on the other side of the country, 20 minutes was far because I was living in a city where everything was close to me. So whatever is far for you. So number three rule is that bank on your secondary has to be far. Once you accomplish all three rules, by doing this, it makes it harder to get to your money, but your money is accessible when you need it in dire emergency, okay? And one of the benefits of this specific bank, it was only open a certain amount of days for a certain amount of hours. So it wasn't a huge chain or a huge branch that was open for 24-hour customer service. It wasn't one of those. It was one of those accounts where just money goes over there. I don't touch it. I don't see it. I don't even know how much is in it. So when I was 18, the money was started dripping into my primary account automatically. My bank, you have to set it up in your online settings for your primary. Remember, primary and secondary are two different types of accounts. Your primary account, okay, when you log into your mobile, that's the one you have a debit card for. That's the one you have mobile access to. You have online access. You can do mobile banking, online banking, all that stuff. When you set up your primary account, what you need to do is you need to have automatic transfer from your primary to your secondary every pay period. If you get paid every 2 weeks, automatic. If you get paid every week, automatic. And you have to put a number that is kind of scary, right? So I'm talking about in this time 18, man, maybe $100 was scary, $200 was scary. But what ended up happening was when I was 19, this money was for two things at 18, 19 for me. This money was for college and it was for moving out to get my first apartment. That's what I was going to personally use the money for. However, when after a year and a half, 2 years, I don't remember the length, a year and a half, 2 years, maybe it was 6 months, I don't remember the length of time. When I realized that I did not want to go to college and I'm going to drop out of college, when I made that decision, what ended up happening is that there was a prime opportunity for me to start a business. And at the time, the investment was going to be $3,000 for me, $3,000 for someone else. And I had enough money to cover the whole thing. So it was like $6,000 investment. I had enough money to cover the whole thing. I had 7,000 in an account or 8,000, maybe 10. I don't recall it, but it was around these type of numbers, like between 5 to 10,000. But I mean, to bank 5 to 10,000, that's amazing. So I put that money into my secondary account. So I was gonna put in the 3. Someone else was gonna put in the 3. The other person couldn't put in the 3. So that forced me to be 100% owner of this company. Then what ended up happening is that company did so well. That's what allowed me to become Andy Audate. That was the seed capital that I needed. However, if I didn't have this process, I wouldn't be able to have the same results that I created if I didn't have this process, because I then use this system in my personal business, in my business. So if you're running it, that's for your personal. Now, if you're running a business, you want to do the same thing similarly. Here's what you do. You got all your income coming in. You got all your income coming into 1 or 2 accounts. All the money coming in. Then you're going to have your secondary account for your business to another bank. I'd still do that today. You're going to have all your money coming in, primary. The money's going to automatically transfer to your secondary. You don't have access to your secondary, and your business owns this account. This is a business account, business checking account. Then that money stays in the secondary account. When there's an opportunity for you to advance, for you to expand, you're ready, while the other person thought that they had the money in their account. So here's what I mean by that, and this is why this is so important, okay? If, let's just say $150,000 comes into your primary account, okay? It just drops, boop, wire transfer in. What the entrepreneur does is they look at the $150,000 and they say, ooh, I have $150,000 to play with. Ooh, I got $150. Ooh, look at this cash, $150. Ooh, 150 grand. Ooh, what am I gonna do with 150 grand? That's what they say. What am I gonna do with 150 grand? And entrepreneur A, in this example, does not have the secondary account like I'm telling you to do so right here. They only have the primary. 150 grand comes in and like, ooh, 150 grand. Ooh. So what do? They go ahead and they figure out how they're gonna spend the 150 grand. And that's the wrong way to do it. What you want to do is the money comes into your primary. 150 grand comes in. Ooh, 75,000 goes to your secondary. And you're like, man, I got 75,000, man. This is not a good month. This is not a good week. Whatever that time frame is for you, this is not a good. Only 75,000 came in. I got to spend 75,000 smartly, if that's even a word, smart. And out of that 75,000, that's what you invest in your business. You invest that money into you invest 75,000. You put a portion of that 75,000 for savings. Now, the money over here in your secondary, by the way, is not your savings account. This is your expansion account. This is your opportunity account. When opportunity arises, that you're able to tap into some real cash over here. Okay. What's in your checking account over here? You may have a savings account underneath your checking account. That out of that 75,000, you got to put some money for savings. Okay, for emergencies. Then you might have payroll out of that 75,000. Then you might have marketing costs out of that 75,000. So now that 75,000, which was a good amount, ends up dwindling down to, hey man, you got $500 or $5,000, some small number, right? So how do you accomplish this? Why are you even doing this in the first place? It's because of your mental. If you went from, ooh, 150 grand, what am I gonna do, to, damn, I got 75,000, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go out and hustle. Now you may do the same thing. The numbers don't matter. It's not about the numbers, it's about the principle. So if it's 150,000, it might be 15,000. It might be 1,500. If $1,500 comes in, 750 goes into your secondary account. Now you got $750 to play with over here in your primary account. Now you're spending your money out of your primary. So it could be either number. It could be 750 million. It could be $750. Doesn't matter. The same principles exist. Money comes into the primary. A portion of it goes into your secondary. Your secondary then is your expansion account, your opportunity account, the account for you to rise and succeed while others did not and they failed to do that. Okay? Use this system wisely. This system has allowed me to put so much money aside that when opportunities arose, I was ready while other people were still thinking about it. They were scared because they were dropping money from their checking account when I was dropping money from my opportunity account. Using this process, using the system is going to help in putting you in a position when expansion opportunities arise, you will win. Why? Because I can nearly guarantee this. And the reason why is that if you continually are working, you're going to see opportunities. You know, one of my sayings is that the opportunity is in the show up. Now, what I mean by the opportunity is in the show up, what that means is that there's an opportunity arising for you if you decide to show up in the marketplace. If you say, hey, I'm here, I want to show up in the marketplace, not only physically, but I want to be there powerfully. I want to be seen and I want to be heard. I want people to see me. I want people to hear me. There's going to be opportunities where other people are going to say, hey, if you invest a certain amount of money, this is what can happen for you on the back end. Now, the reason why a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, business owners, salespeople, can't invest is because they don't have it. And it's not because the money never came into their pockets. It came under their management. Remember, money is not owned. You can't own money. You just manage it for a little bit of time, okay? Because you're going to give it away at some point. You're going to give it to somebody. You want to buy a new laptop? You're giving it away to Apple. Or you're giving it away to Microsoft. You want to buy a camera? You want to buy a phone? You want to buy some coffee? You're giving it away to Starbucks if that's the case. So that means you're not owning the money. You're only managing the money. So if you are anything like me, anything like, Andy Audate over here, if you're anything like me, when I see a low account, I get scared. Now, everyone's account is low. Like, everyone's account, the low, what's low for somebody may be high to somebody else. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just being broke. I'm talking about once I see my bank account get to a certain level, I get nervous, okay? For some people, that low number might be $100. I remember when I used to work at Wendy's, 2000, this was 10 years ago. Man, I'm doing the decade stuff, dude. I'm saying decades. So I'm 26 now. So at 16, when I was at Wendy's, I don't know, $50 was low. I was scared at $50. 75, I'm good. Woo, I got breathing room. $45, I'm scared. But then I got, became a business owner. And now when you got expenses coming out of your account, now you got different low numbers. So if you're a small business owner, I don't know, maybe 10 grand is low, maybe 5 grand is low, maybe 2 grand is low, maybe $1,000 is low. So whenever that number starts to creep in, that low number starts to hit, it's time to hard hustle and work. So I want you to write down your low number. My low number is X. And I want you to never hit that number again for the rest of your life. Whatever that number is, I want you to write that down. My low number is X. My low number is $500. My low number is $1,000 in my primary account. My low number is $10,000, $100,000, whatever that number is. I want you to never hit that number again. I wrote down my low number a long time ago. Never hit it. Never hit it. I've never hit that low number. Never planned to. Never will hit it. Never hit it. However, in my entire accounts, okay, this system of putting the money from primary to secondary is going to help you. So in your low account, in your primary account, I want you to put down what your low number is and say, I will never hit this low number, okay? Then now, that's like your floor. Then now I want you to put your mid number. Your mid number, MID, medium, right? Your mid number is going to be the specific number that if you hit this number, that's when you have to rush to work. Like it's on survival, like the house is on fire. You see, some people's mid number or survival number is $4. And that's okay? Is it? Is that okay if it's $4? Because what could happen? You might miss the bus and you got to take an Uber and then boop, $4 is gone. So you don't want to hit your mid number. But once you hit your mid number, that's going to be your survival. So your low number, you never hit. That's your mental saying, I will never be at this number again in my life. Then you got your mid number. Your mid number is equal to your survival number. That's the same thing. Your survival number. Your survival number is a specific number that once your bank account hits that, you got to start running and work. You got to start figuring out like how. You got to look at your commission check, or you got to look how you at your job, how you can make more money. Go to your employer and say, hey, look, I'm constantly at the survival. I got to figure out how to make commission, man. What do I need to do to make a little bit more income? What do I need to do here to make a little bit more income? If you work for a small to medium-sized company, go to your boss and say, how can I make a little bit more income in my position? And if they say that you can't make any more income, you're capped, you're salaried, you can't make any more income, leave the company. Leave. Be out. Leave the company. If there's no opportunities for you to make more income and you're constantly hitting your mid number, your survival number, run. But if you are constantly hitting your survival number, then that's when you go to your leader and you say, hey, how do I make more income? If you already have an opportunity, like you're in a sales position, you're making income through sales or so on and so forth, then you got to start hitting your targets. Start hitting those numbers that allow you to generate more income time and time over again so you don't hit your survival number. Now, the survival number is the number that you start using to rush, to get, to hustle, to get money, to get sales, to go and get more income coming in. Now, what is happening if you got your primary, you're at your survival, but you banked, maybe 10 times your survival in your secondary account? What happens? This is how you start psyching your brain up to make more money. You don't want to know what's in your secondary account. So at 19 years old, my mid number might have been 500. If I knew in my secondary account was 10 grand, oh man, I would have quit my job. I would have been out. That would have been the worst thing that I would have ever done in my life. I had a mentor. My old boss was a mentor to me. Okay, he showed me how to run my business and how to live with freedom. So had I seen $10,000 in my bank account at the time, I would have been out. So that's why your secondary account, you do not want to see what is in your secondary account. You don't want to know what's in there. You don't want to know how much is in there. Just have trust and have faith that everything is okay in the secondary account. Then when you see an opportunity, like I did, like there was an opportunity for me to open up a business. Now, I didn't have shiny object syndrome, meaning that I didn't jump on every single opportunity. But when I had that prime opportunity, that specific opportunity that I was looking for, that I knew that I would win, and all I needed was a certain amount of money, that's when you go to your secondary account. That's how many millionaires get to the $1 million mark, and that's the same process that they specifically use to be able to maintain their millions and also generate more millions in the future. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you won't grow. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, you won't grow. It's all about knowledge. What is the difference between someone who's 90 years old, never even touched 100,000 in their life before, never had 100 grand in their bank account, never had 10 grand in their bank account, or 5 grand, or even 2 grand, or even $1,000. There are people who die at 90, never even touched $1,000. What's the difference between that person and the person who's 45 years old, 50 years old, and they went bankrupt, they made multiple millions, they go bankrupt, they lose it all, go back up, make multiple millions again in another company, go bankrupt again, lose it all in their lifetime, and they go bankrupt, and then they get back to the multi-million. They were a millionaire for 3 years, like 3 different times in their life. They were a multi-millionaire. What is the difference between that person and the person at 90? Person does it 3 times, becomes millionaire status 3 times, loses it twice, becomes a millionaire 3 times, and the person who's 90 never even touched 100 grand, 10 grand, or even 1,000. What is the difference between the two? It's what they know. So if you specifically use this in your life and in your businesses, whether you're a salesperson, an employee, a business owner, if you specifically use this will allow you to bank the most amount of money, constantly put you in a place of survival, like you got to go work, you got to go hustle, you got to go get more money, all while a big pot that you may have never been used to is hanging over here. So take advantage of an opportunity of a lifetime. And the lifetime of the opportunity that allows you to take money from your primary, put it in your secondary, and once the opportunity comes, you're ready. Once again, this is Andy Audate with the Big Money Show, where I teach you how to make money, keep it, maintain it, but most importantly, grow it. And I'll see you next week on the Big Money Show. Do me a favor, if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, I want you to comment what you learned so far, and number 2, I want you to click the subscribe button. So that way, every time I post, you get notified. And so that way, you keep on your money game, you keep on your marketing game, and you live life with freedom. I'll see you next week on The Big Money Show.